guys, and welcome to Dance Talk. Before we get started, it would mean the world to me if you could hit that subscribe button so we can kind of keep pushing these videos further. Today we're talking about what makes a dancer hireable, and I'm super excited to have two of my biggest idols and inspirations on chatting to me today. Please welcome Matt Lee and Kelley Abbey.
Hey!
Thank you guys so much for jumping on and having a chat to me. It's a super important topic, and you know, more than ever, there's so many dancers out there wondering what they kind of need to be doing to ultimately get hired and book a job in the dance world. And I kind of feel that maybe a lot of the time they're maybe focusing on the wrong areas, or there's things they're missing. Would you guys agree with that? Or
For sure, definitely. Every time I teach now, I always ask the kids, especially like, what have you learnt this week, rather than just a 5, 6, 7, 8. And I think it's important to know how to conduct yourself in front of and potential someone that's going to be hiring you. And that's why every time you walk in, I say to them, every time a choreographer walks into the room, this is a potential employer.
Yeah.
So you're going to make sure that you are on your game, you're working as hard as you can, and trying to impress everyone that comes in the room, because you never know when you go into that audition one day that person's going to be there taking that audition, and we remember.
totally.
Yeah.
And we all talk to each other.
We all talk to each other, exactly.
I think that's a very big thing that people underestimate is your behaviour and your reputation, and how easy you are to work with is something that is always considered.
Yeah.
Especially in musical theatre. Like, you definitely do a casting and do the A-list casting and put everyone's headshots down, and then it goes around the table to the musical director, the producer, the casting director, the choreographer, you know, Ruth Smith, what's her reputation like, and it'll go around the table and everyone will say, you know, she's always late, she's always injured, she doesn't look after her body, she doesn't take responsibility for it, and then that photo can quickly just be discarded on the floor. So that's, I think, something that people really underestimate. And in the commercial world too, all the choreographers speak to each other all the time.
Yeah. And I think we're talking on the social media episode about how often the people that are really kind of doing a lot of the work or a lot of the hiring may not be as present on social media, may not be as well known for the youth of today. So you might go, oh, this is just another kind of old school teacher, or, you know, Broadway jazz class or something. And that person could be in the circle of all the people that are doing the big jobs. So yeah,
Especially in Australia, it's such a tight knit community here in this country, and because we don't have the industry of LA or New York or London, so it's a very tight knit small community, and like Kelley said, we all talk, and so more than often I have to say, oh, I don't want to work with that person because she was hard work on the last job, or she rolled her eyes, or she didn't work hard enough, and that does come into play is how you are just as a human.
Yeah.
And you know, I had a job where one of the dancers was sat on the other side of the room, and she wasn't interacting with all these other very popular girls. And I said to my assistant, what's going on there? And she said, oh, she was really bullied by them on this other job, and she doesn't like them. And it's just interesting to hear things like that, because I'm like, oh, it's changed my perception now of these people. And I don't think I want to work with these people again. So it is really important that you are a nice person first, as well as obviously being the right person talent-wise for the job.
Yeah, I think it's a really important part of today's topic is, you know, you stay in the world long enough, when you get into enough auditions, eventually you're going to get a job. But it's the more important thing is what you're both talking about, which is staying in work, getting the second job, you know, being consistent and being able to actually maintain a career, which, there's so many other elements to that, of course,
And also for me, like, since I returned from the UK 2 years ago, I actually haven't hired any of the dancers that I've worked with of late. So very much now, when I get booked on a job, they go, oh, this is the job, and here are your dancers.
Right.
So the people that they're needing to be impressing are people that aren't necessarily the choreographers in the room. They're the EPs on the job, or they're the performance producers, or they're the people kind of sitting back and putting this group together. And then, you know, so it then goes to being nice to everyone, not just who you think your favorite choreographer or the in choreographer is. It's so many other people that are involved in making those decisions as well.
So true.
And then that involves having a social profile that is attractive to those kind of people. And I'm always saying to people, like, it's probably a good idea to have a personal handle, just say on Instagram, that that's only for your kind of private people, and then having a business profile.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who cast via social media, and a lot of people who don't really want to look at you having too many drinks and at too many parties, and that's kind of considered, especially in musical theatre, it is. Because they look at these things, so that I advise people to have 2 separate accounts.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because we do have a social media episode, and I think it's such a big discussion, and it's kind of so many. There's both sides to every discussion about social media, and I think it is about the right content that you have there, and as an employer, whether it's for a dance studio or a production or whatever it is, if the right person's going to go to your page, it could do 2 things. It could cost you the job if the wrong content's up there, or it could book you the job. It's going to be the last kind of thing sometimes, but if that stuff's up there that they're looking for and it looks good, and then that can also get you the job. Yeah.
The hard thing, I think, also is trying to educate kids on. I know back in my day, we had to actually go into the room to be seen.
Yeah.
And now you don't have to do that. You can be seen. You can be seen by doing this. But it's important. I try to tell kids these days not to get caught up in who is doing this and who the coolest person is at the moment, because fads come and go. And it's trying to be seen by the right people and be in front of the right people, rather than the people that you think are cool in the minute. And I think that's another hard thing for this generation to kind of get their head around, is that it's not necessarily going to be the person that's doing all the cool Instagram videos and all the concept videos and everything that's actually booking work, hiring people.
Yeah.
The people that are hiring people might not necessarily be doing concept videos and all that kind of stuff. So it's really important to be getting in front of the right people, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. Someone asked, because this came up the other day, and someone asked me, how do I get in front of the right people? Because I think a lot of people out there is exceptions to the rule, where they're kind of going, okay, I want to get in front of Matt Lee and Kelley Abbey. I want to get in front of the right people, but they're not doing a class right now. How do I actually get in front of them? I guess that's kind of a question that I would ask both of you. Where can young dancers go if they are kind of just overexposed to who's doing, the popular class? How can they actually have that opportunity to get in front of people like yourselves?
I guess I'm always looking at people, like whether I'm judging this dance competition or I'm
at this grad.
Or I'm at this gig and I'm watching other people's gigs and watching other people's dance growth. So I'm observing a lot. I don't teach a lot anymore, but
you're watching.
I'm watching. I'm definitely watching. And also, the other thing I wanted to add to that too was, apart from being seen, it's like, for me too, it's stepping into what you need to consider when you step in the room in front of the people. Like, let's have that conversation, because it's about, if I go back to massive cattle calls that I've done, which don't exist anymore, but like, just say in the very first Fame, the musical I did in 1999, I saw 4,000 dancers for 10 spots.
Wow.
And so I saw 50 dancers every hour.
Yeah.
And so then you think, when 50 dancers walk into the room and they start dancing at you, then what makes them hireable in that situation? Like, what's the thing that makes them pop?
Yeah.
So for me, that's a whole list of things. And I think one thing that people underestimate is, and one of the ones that are really high on my list is people's ability to pay attention to detail. Yeah. Because I know, and don't think dancers understand, that when I get into a rehearsal situation on a show, just say if it was like The Boy from Oz, we had like maybe 3 weeks rehearsal, 4th week going to tech, 3 weeks rehearsal, there's like 17 numbers to do. So I lay down, download the material, everyone learns it. I get this much cleaning time before I've got to move on to the next one. Yeah. So people have to learn clean. And so you want to know, when you're looking in an audition room, that if I've said the choreography, has a finger there and someone does that, I'm probably not going to hire them, because they're not paying attention to all the detail. And I need people who can do that, because they need to move it. They need to do it quickly.
Yeah.
I said that the other day, actually, in a class I taught.
Yeah.
Just a dirty old corner progression work.
Yeah.
And it was, it's like a part of array pirouette, dégagé second. And all that the emphasis goes on is the turns. How many turns can I do? And I say, yeah, but there's a beginning and a middle and an end. If you can't give me a clean part of array and a dégagé seconds at the end, that says to me that you're, again, not listening to detail and not paying attention. You might just think it's a dirty old thing from the corner. But that says to me, oh, when I get into actually putting a routine together, are you going to miss those kind of details? Because what's important to you is how many turns I can do, rather than actually doing the exercise properly and correctly and cleanly. So yes, same thing.
It's a big one. And also for me, dance diction. And when I say that, I mean your ability to be able to like hit and cut your shape and have finish on your end of, the end of your movement, which for me I'm big on. I am. And but for me, there's big reasons for that, because when you dance on television, and anyone that's a dancer at home who would ever go back and watch themselves dance on a video, you always look at it and think, it's going for gold. It looks like I'm marking it, because the nature of the camera lens just like sucks out 50% of the energy. So in being able to really have great diction to your movement, it's something that's going to read on television and make it pop on television. It's going to make it pop on stage to the man in double X row who's paid $150 to see you on stage. And for his view, you're this big,
Exactly, yeah.
So you've got to be able to punch out movement and make it hit the back wall. So I can't, if I've got a room of 50 people, the people that are going to have that dance diction are going to pop out like embossed font on a, flat font, piece of paper. They just pop straight away. And I think that's a really big thing. I mean, it is a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's something that stands out in, like you said, in a room of 50 people.
Yeah.
And I think these days, from kind of teaching at so many different places and meeting so many dancers, we've progressed so far in the kind of light and shade and dynamics and lovely extension and all these amazing things. And I think something that I do notice is that kind of dynamic and attack and dance diction, like you said. I love that kind of term.
Yeah.
Disappearing in some cases, and it's something that will get you noticed in the room.
Totally.
And it's something that I'd love kids to kind of focus on more.
I think also there's a difference with the dancing in class and then dancing on a stage in front of an audience.
Yeah.
There's very big difference. And I know that I at the end of last year I did a job and I thought, I'll give a fresh, dancer straight out of full time, I'll give them a chance, because you got to get it in somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was interesting though, because I think the dancer saw how far she still had to go with the other working professionals in the room, and I think it was quite daunting for her. But again, it was like you put them on the stage and the pros that have been doing it for so long just pop, and she really struggled. And it was this, you might be great in the classroom, but put you with other working dancers and there's still a ways to go. So I think that there's that mentality of dancing in a class and then getting on stage and having to have presence and having to have performance and having to have all those things. And you might be the sickest in the room doing the steps, but there's another level that has to go on top of that when you get on stage, obviously. So
Definitely, yeah. And I think I can feel that shift with choreographers starting to be, I guess, hesitant, at least at first, to book young dancers. Maybe it's because of my age kind of shifting now, but I feel like it wasn't always the case. Back when I first started working, people were excited about those like young dancers that were coming out. And I think people are wary of like, what are they going to kind of either dance, be able to dance in a different era, or, pop in the certain ways that you guys are requiring. Are you noticing that? Are you kind of wary of that when you're looking at younger dancers now?
I think that the priority now has shifted, and it's going to be your whole social media episode, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The priority has shifted in about getting in the class video or getting in the Instagram video, and that seems to be what is the most important to young dancers at the moment. That's from my observation, and I think that, again, like I said, when you get them on stage with working pros that are working on like constantly, I do see a shift. So it makes me kind of go, oh, do I want to take a chance, or am I just going to go with my safe bets?
Yeah.
And more often than not, you go with your safe bets because you know they're going to deliver, they're going to do your work the best that you want it to be seen.
Especially live television.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Because you can be a really good dancer and not cope with live television.
Yeah, it's a different
Yeah,
beast.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think that's like shifting more into studio owner, teacher, choreographer kind of world. I get shocked that I still get called from people like yourselves here and there to do things, and I'm like, why aren't these people kind of calling all these amazing? Because we watch all these videos, and young dancers now they're doing some things that I never even heard of when I was training, and I'm kind of like, why am I getting the call still? Like it should be, there's so many amazing studios and there's so many amazing dancers coming through, and I guess I mean, Matt, looking at those dancers next to each other, what are the key kind of things that are still in development, I guess?
I think also our dancing school culture has shifted again into this comp land. We've gone into this very hardcore competition land. So I always say to be a working dancer, you need to have a level of maturity about your movement. And I think sometimes when we get caught up in comp land and being a competition dancer, we don't see a lot of that maturity because it's about doing all the tricks and the things that are going to win the comps and win the trophies and everything. And there's just this, I found a lack of maturity coming. And I don't know whether that's because we're still doing competitions at 17, 18, 19. I'm not sure. But yeah, when you put students now next to working, for me, there's a really big difference. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, all we can do is try to educate and teach and have them learn. But yeah, that's I think probably why you get phone calls, BJ, because you had great training. And
You're a great dancer. That's
and a fabulous dancer and reliable, and you always pulled off whatever you were given. You did, and it was always to the highest level, and that's why you have had the career that you've had.
Yeah,
Thank you.
But yes,
That means a lot.
some of the younger ones maybe need to watch and learn a little bit.
And it is, I guess, the people you're looking up to, I think, play a big part of that. Like I was able to take classes and learn off both of you, and then eventually work for both of you later. But I was constantly watching the people that were, luckily, the people that were doing all the work and hiring all the dancers. I guess that's a big thing I encourage people to do, is actually find out who's really working and who's really booking the dancers, and just at least watch what they're doing, watch what type of work they're choreographing and the types of things they're looking for. That can give them a big understanding of it. I don't think enough people are really questioning, is this the type of stuff I need to be focusing on? And I feel like also there's a shift, going off topic now, of dancers trying to focus on the things they're already good at.
And they only want to do the things they're good at.
Right.
Yeah, they don't want to challenge themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I was training, we were all trying to find that new choreographer, that new style that we maybe weren't as strong at, or that thing we were less comfortable in. Well, that's the thing I need to work on.
That's the big thing I was just talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
In regards to you've got to focus on your weaknesses, and you've got to equalize all your skills and be as versatile as you can to have longevity in this kind of career, in this landscape, in this country, definitely. But I feel sorry for a lot of young dancers too, in this climate, pre-COVID actually, is just there hasn't been a lot of commercial work. So it's not like you can be inspired by watching these gigs that are happening, because there's maybe like 2 or 3 commercial gigs a year.
Yeah.
So that's a hard, landscape. But most of our hottest dancers are teaching workshops,
Yeah.
So that's tough.
Yeah.
That's really, really tough.
But I always say to kids also, look at someone's career that you want to emulate, like growing up. I know I used to watch you guys and be like, I'm going to do that. And I made sure that I followed everything that you all did and made sure that I was doing the right things to be able to one day do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really important, I say all the time, find that person whose career you want to emulate, and then if you get an opportunity, chat with them about it, or watch them from afar, or watch the shows they've been, like, do some research rather than just going, oh, that chick's cool, she does 4,000 turns in a tap shoe and she's got 1 million followers. I want to do that. And I'm like, really? Because that's where it stops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I was always lucky to be taught by people that were doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I could go and see them in shows. I could turn on the telly and they were on every Logie Awards. I could watch and be like, there's Kelley, there's, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I was able then to follow in the footsteps and do the same thing. So I think it's really important that they're looking at people who are doing what they want to do and kind of try to emulate that and follow in their footsteps, rather than going, she's got 1,000 million followers. Like, I want to do that. It kind of doesn't really get you anywhere.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and that's the negative side of, I guess, so much exposure to things online. Like, are they watching? If you're watching the shows that are on, or a musical that's playing, and you've researched every performer that's been booked in that job, then you're doing the right thing. But if you're kind of following the people that, have you ever seen them in an actual show, then you've got to kind of question, is there other people or other avenues that I can kind of be focusing on that might push me in that right direction.
I heard a quote the other day. I'm gonna repeat it wrong, I'm sure, but it was to the point of, like, how can you expect to have a career, or to be taught by someone to have a career in something that they've never had a career in?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
100%.
So it's that whole thing, like, how do you expect to have a career in an industry being taught by someone that hasn't had a career in that industry, kind of thing? That's kind of similar. Like, I get that, and I think it's just the same. Like, you have to surround yourself with the right people and making sure that you're listening and learning from people that have done what you're trying to do. Because if you haven't done if that person hasn't, then how are they going to help you get
that,
there?
yeah.
That's
And the information's out there. Like, it's all online now. You can find the info if you look hard enough on anyone.
Yeah.
Going back into the audition room for you guys, I guess maybe we'll go back after that into actually you going in as a dancer, but as choreographers hiring, what are some other things? It's the first call of the day, the first group of the day. What are those things that you're kind of looking out for that probably not everyone in the room's going to give you, that that make the difference?
I've got such a big list.
Yeah.
Emotional connection.
Yep.
Someone who's connected to feeling what they're doing straight away. Someone who's, that's going to stand out. Things like just who's picking up the choreography quickly, who is not asking too many questions.
Yeah.
And I say to people, like, it's fine, you can ask questions, like, feel free, but if you're the person that asks a million questions, I would steer clear of that person.
Yeah.
And just, but the part of the casting process, especially on shows, is, I'm casting as soon as the person puts their bag down. I'm already casting and they haven't even started yet. So it's like, I'm casting, I'm looking at them going, okay, they're 5'4", they're brunette, they could possibly fit into this slot. I need them to go this ensemble slot to cover this thing and sing a D above C in the chest voice. And they're this type. So they're still walking to their spot to start to learn, and I'm already casting them.
Yeah.
And then people go, well, God, how do you act in an audition? What do you do? And you just be yourself.
Yeah.
And you're either the right fit or you're not. That's just kind of, there's so many examples of situations where people have been cast. Like, I remember it was an old chorus line audition, and there was this one girl, and she was quite an intimidating kind of girl. And she was older, and she, what you would wear to a chorus line audition is a leotard and tights and chorus heels, nice silhouette. And she came and she had a long T-shirt on down to her knees and heels and tights. And the American choreographer said, can you take your T-shirt off? And this girl just put her hand on her hip, and then she rolled her eyes and she looked at it and she went, no. and you felt the whole room go, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then she just took off and she walked right around to the back of it was lots of people, it was like cattle call, and she went up to the back, and then she started dancing, and then we got split into groups, and then we broke for lunch. And she walked out, she just grabbed a bag and she said, they hate me and I'm going home, and she left. And in that moment where she put her hand on her hip and huffed and rolled her eyes and said no, they cast her as Sheila from Chorus Line, that character who's like that. So it could be your behaviour,
That tells that story of
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
I would also say, just know what you're know the room you're going into.
Yeah.
Know who's on the panel.
Yep.
Know the job that you're auditioning for.
Yeah.
And make sure that you are acting accordingly. Like, know that you're going for a chorus line, knowing that you have to look a certain way. Know that you're going for Chicago, they're going to want you in all black. Yeah. Know that you're going for whatever you're going for, whether it be a commercial audition or a musical audition. Like, have done some research and know exactly what you're walking in for, so that you can walk in and go, I'm the person you're looking for, tick, boom, book the job.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that dancers get so scared about is that the panel is this scary, crazy, nasty group of people that just want to make fun of you and just want you to fail. Like, that's actually the opposite.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
opposite.
They want you to be right because they don't want to have to sit there for hours on hours on hours going through everyone to try to find the person.
Yeah.
They want you to walk in and be the person looking for. They can go, boom, you, great, tick, sold. So, there's this conception, the panel, they're so scary and they're so mean. And it's like,
They're on your team.
opposite. They actually want you to be right. They want you to be the person they're looking for.
So true.
So, yeah.
So yes, do your research.
Yeah.
Dress in the tone of what you're going for. Don't be specific. Like there's been so many situations where, even to say, for example, like West Side Story, and just say if you think you're Anita and you come dressed as Anita, and you actually don't have the skill set to be Anita, but you actually have the perfect skill set for another role, but they can't visually.
They can't see it.
They can't see it because you're so dressed as Anita. So what you've done is you've kind of pissed off the creative team.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And made it hard for them. So so it's kind of like dress in the tone and
Blank canvas yourself.
Yeah.
So they can put you wherever they want you to go, rather than when you think you go.
Yeah.
They might go, oh, we see you as this. But again, like Kelley said, if you're dressed. But then, I mean, there's this age-old question. I remember there's a girl that I went through my career with who used to turn up to audition dressed literally in the costume.
yeah.
And to the point where you thought she'd gotten like the costume from the show.
From it.
And it was, I think it was, what was it? It was Grease, or it was Shout, or it was something.
Yeah.
It was a 50 something, and she literally turned up in the poodle skirt with the poodle and the pink thing with the bow and the hair and the everything. But she booked the job because she was talented. But it's that thing of going, well,
It's hit or miss.
it is hit or miss.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, that's an example.
I guess they want to see that you, because work ethic is something like you said. They want to.
God, that's a whole other podcast.
They want to know that you're like, you're going to work hard on the job and you care. And if you've done a lot of research, I guess that's the extreme. But if they can see you've like cared enough to do your research, look into everything, and you've put time into it, they know you're probably going to do the same in the rehearsal room.
Yeah.
No one's got time to spoon feed you in a rehearsal.
Exactly.
No, there's no time.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to point out too, because this has definitely happened, I think when you're casting, you see so many people that you can't remember people's names. So you end up in your head and describing them as, and this was on So You Think You Can Dance. I remember it was Top 100 week. And I went, I love Boy in a Yellow Singlet. And Boy in a Yellow, he was great at hip hop this morning. But I love Boy in a Yellow Singlet. And then, oh my God, he did really good at contemporary. Wow, that's really interesting. He was so good at both. Yeah, love Boy in a Yellow Singlet. And then I think we had a break. And then it was like lunch. And then he came back. And then he changed his singlet.
Longer.
Then he didn't do as well in the afternoon. And I was going, where's Boy in a Yellow Singlet? I went, he must
Don't know which one it
he's
was.
gone.
Wow.
Or he's injured or something happened. And he didn't do well, so he didn't drag my eye, and he didn't have the singlet on. So that's why I say to people, don't change your clothes in the middle of an audition.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And if anything, if you get a call back for dance, like go home and you just wash
Wear
that
the
sucker
same
and
thing.
dry it and wear it back again.
Oh,
because you become defined in my mind by what you had on that day.
I'd never thought about that actually.
Yeah.
I actually have done exactly that. Every time I had auditioned for a show in my 20s, I wore the same thing every time.
Yeah.
Because that very reason. They're going to remember you as that guy in that thing.
Yeah.
In a room full of people, I was the guy in the Superman t-shirt. I always wore my Superman
t-shirt.
It was my lucky Superman t-shirt. So I would have my Superman t-shirt on every round until,
So clever.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's the guy in the Superman. Exactly.
No, you would. You go, yes, super. Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And even with resumes, let's talk about
Here's
that.
another thing, yeah.
Because resumes are interesting. Like I've sat with a Broadway director before, and someone's had on their resume all these roles that they played. And he said to me, oh, look, she was Roxy in Chicago. And then I've seen this girl walk in and I've gone, no, she wasn't.
No, she wasn't.
And then he's seen that. So now he expects this kind of level performance from her.
Yeah.
But she was Roxy at the Ballarat Theatre Players Amateur Musical Theatre Society, which is well and great. It didn't mean that she wasn't, good.
Good, yeah.
But he then expected her to be up here.
level.
So that's what I say to people, like, be super honest. Be super honest in your resumes, and don't make up things. Don't
Embellish.
Don't embellish.
Or
don't
put
exaggerate.
your Stedford results or something.
Or say that you worked with someone famous when you were 1 in 3,000 extras in there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I was on this movie. And
yeah. So you kind of want to know, and if you haven't done anything, and that's the thing that people ask me all the time, what do I write if I actually haven't done anything yet? You just write your skill set, your who trained you, how many years, how many styles you trained in, what all the teachers were, and so you get a really great kind of snapshot from that information about their training, and that's what you want to know.
Yeah.
Because really, it depends on how you deliver in the room. You can have never worked, and you can be the person who's done a million jobs.
Yeah.
And it depends on your performance in the room.
Yeah, I think that is a question. That's good insight there, because I think people do ask, how do I get the first job? Because obviously, especially in musicals, we've all seen people are much more trusted once they've gone through a contract. They've gone through the experience, and people are like, well, how am I going to get the first one? What do I put on the resume and all those types of things. So I guess it can be hard, but yeah, just be honest. That's a really good bit of advice. Be
honest.
Yeah.
And don't say you can backflip when you haven't done it for 8 months.
Oh yeah.
and then decide to do it in the room and hurt yourself.
Yeah,
I've seen that happen so many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to just the commercial land, I know dancers ask me all the time, how do I get my foot in the door? Because it seems, especially in this country, the same 6 to 8 people do all the same jobs.
Yeah.
And I say that's just a testament to them being reliable, really good, and as a choreographer that when you get those people, then they're going to deliver. But they were like, it was a dancer the other day I was teaching, and she said, do I need to like be social? Do I need to up my social game? And I was like, it kind of broke my heart a little bit, because I was like, do I need to be friends with these people so that they'll give me a job? And it was hard though, because in this country, especially commercial dance, people don't take auditions anymore. There's no auditions for artists or anything like that. So I know that when I worked with Samantha Jade at the end of last year, I made a point of actually taking an audition, because I had been away and I didn't know anyone, and I thought, I'm not going to just rely on people telling me about people. I really want to see it. Yeah. And they said, we wish there were more, because we feel like we don't get opportunity for the jobs, because they're just already handed to those people that already are reliable and are doing the work
in the circle.
And I would think that then that would then for me be something that I have to bring up with my agent and say, hey, how do I get in front of these people? So I suppose my point is that if you have an agent and you're trying to get your foot in the door, is be on the phone to your agent saying, how do I get in front of these people? Can you set up a meeting for me? Blah 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 blah. Just so that And I think I'm going to do that from now on. If ever I'm going to kind of maybe try and do a little bit more of that, so people feel like they're being seen.
Yeah, because there's so many people out there.
Just relying on just people going, she's good. Okay, well, I'll just use those people. So
well, I think it would be awesome if more choreographers. Because
tried to do that.
I think a lot of dancers are getting to a level, and they're kind of just feeling like there's no chance for them to get in that circle or to get seen by that person. I mean, like you said, everyone's watching, so keep doing the right things. But I think people get disheartened and stop and give up altogether if they feel like, there's no chance, I'm never going to be seen.
Yeah, and I think, and as Kelley and I were saying before, like, we do go to the graduations and we go to this, and we do see
everything.
We see the gigs and we watch some of the gigs on, and you see, that person did that job for that one. She might be good, blah blah. But I think it's also, as we talked about before, finding that thing that you can still have your creative juices are flowing, but might not necessarily be on the stage. So it's finding that and something else that you can do that you can bide your time, still be creative in, like, being a choreographer or a hairstylist or a makeup artist or something else that is creative that you can then kind of do whilst you're waiting maybe to get that foot in the door.
And you're networking at the same time in the right world, right? So like you're kind of meeting people and, you're also a dancer, you're also cool, that's good to know. And you're staying in that circle.
I think also though, a great example is I always say Michelle Barr is a great example, because she did full-time, and then she had a stage in her early 20s where she wasn't booking any jobs, wasn't working, and I know she wouldn't mind me saying this, And then you actually gave her her first job, her first musical.
I did, yeah.
As she was 26.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And so I go, all these 18, 19-year-olds going, oh, my life is over. I've been
yeah.
out of full-time for a year and I haven't got a job. Oh, I'm quitting.
Yep.
Like, she's a perfect example of her tenacity
Yes.
and her drive to this is going to happen, this is going to happen. She stuck it out, and then...
But she also developed a whole lot of other skill sets
On the way.
that now makes her somebody who can switch from doing a show to then being
Stage
a performance
manager or-
producer on
yeah,
television.
yeah.
So that kind of actually expanded her
Yeah.
creativity and her kind of career. Yeah, it's interesting. I say to full-timers all the time, some people will do full-time and do 3 months of full-time and get into a show and then take off.
Yep.
Some people do full-time and steadily progress, get an agent straight away, and then take a trajectory.
There it is.
Those are rented lips. And onwards. Or then some people can do full time and to just discover they're a costume designer.
Yeah.
Or
And they love it.
so it's kind of like finding out. It's opening up all your pathways to creativity. Really is what the course really should do.
Yeah.
And help you
Definitely.
consider that there's lots of different choices to make, and that dance is like a short-lived career.
Yes.
Yeah, especially if you don't go onto the
Diversify.
other side and become a choreographer, or if you're not necessarily great at that or don't have a passion for it, then it is this window. So you do need to stimulate all your creativity in all different directions, I think.
Because
Yeah.
everyone's path in is different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's path into getting to be able to do what they've dreamed of doing since they were a child is not going to be the same as everyone else's. So it's finding your own lane and finding a way that it's going to happen for you,
Yeah.
rather than going, well, she did it like that and he did it like that. Why isn't it working for me?
Yeah.
It's just really different for every
It's
person.
unique.
Yeah, that
Isn't
is
it?
such a big thing that so many working people in this industry will tell young dancers is stop comparing yourself to others. Stop looking like,
Yeah.
oh, but they got it already. And I think that gets drilled in them at a young age. They're literally at the Eisteddfod or in the studio watching their direct, in their head, competitor doing things. And they're like, why am I doing that? Why did she get that already? And, it's rewiring their brains to go, okay, now we're out in the real world where we're a business now and we're finding our own path. And tenacity is such a great word. I love that. It's those people that really kind of keep at it and keep pushing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not working. Let's try this way.
A perfect example, a full-time course many, many years ago, they had 3 levels, and there was a girl that was in the second class. There's lots of people that have been not in the advanced, great, best dancer frontline have gone on to have brilliant careers.
Oh, yeah.
And this girl was she was in the second group and she was not necessarily in the front, but she stuck at it, and now she's hosting The Voice.
Wow.
Renee Barr is
Yes.
a perfect example of
Yeah.
that. And she went over to America and found this love of presenting, and she's gorgeous, so that helps. And that was her in, and
Yeah.
I don't think you could have told her that when she was in the 2 class in the second or third line,
Yeah.
not at the front going, oh, this isn't happening for me. I'm not down the front. I'm not that. But then she's managed to do that, and now is there. So
Yeah.
it is really different for everyone.
There's so many stories like that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like, as soon as you go, oh, I'm nowhere near that level, and you give up, you're wasting your opportunities to end up in a different place or get there in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has a unique tempo and timing to their career or to their artist path, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes back again to the fact that they're viewing the same types of people so often that they're kind of like, oh, that's what I have to do, and that's the only thing they see. People aren't looking into a broader kind of realm of everyone's story, what's been everyone's story.
Well, there's no what's the word I'm looking for?
Manual?
E equals MC squared, one of those.
Formula.
Formula, thank you,
Formula.
Liam. Thanks, Liam. There's no formula, and if there was a formula, you'd sell it and you'd be rich.
Yeah, you'd
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is no formula.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain ways to do things that people have done, but
Yeah.
it's never going to be
The same
exactly
for
the same.
everyone.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you come out of full time when you're 6 months without a job and my life's over and off you go down to Subway. I don't know, but it's different for everyone, and I think that it is the tenacity, and you have to have the thick skin, and you have to be told 10 no's to 1 yes, all of those things, all those cliche things that people say and that we hear, and it's true though. It is really, you have to have the thick skin to be able to have a long career, longevity.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really important thing for people to hear, because I think, you know, people are going to watch this as very young dancers. They're going to watch this as dance parents. They're going to watch this as people that have maybe been trying for a while. I think the common things are always going to be there, and it's like the things we've talked about: being kind all the time, focusing on your growth in all areas. Because if you're at least progressing in the right direction, eventually the right person's going to see you. So I think I encourage people, just because you haven't got that yes yet, don't start trying to focus on just getting seen. Actually still keep focusing on, maybe they have seen you, maybe there's little areas that you need to keep working on. Keep getting into class, keep doing those things. People think once that's full-time course is over or whatever it is, it's like, oh, I'm either good enough or I'm not. You know, we all keep developing. You learn every day, right?
Well, it's like the full-time course finishes and then it's kind of like, right, where's my job?
That's what people feel.
Like, well, that's kind of not how it works. For most people, it's not how it works. And you see so many kids in all these courses, and you're just like, it kind of is disheartening for me sometimes, because I look and go, oh, some of you aren't going to get to do this. But then again, find a different path and a different way to still be a part of this industry that we call show business, but just not in a different way. Tenacity.
And going back into the audition room, because, you know, like back when you guys were going in as performers or dancers, what were some of the other, for me, like what I used to try to do is, yes, be myself for all, you know, the overall kind of audition period, but when it came to actually dancing at in the small group or performing in the small group, I used to kind of try to make sure I felt like I was on stage and not just kind of like, because I was very much in the world growing up of be perfect, do it right, you know, make sure I do the steps right, don't forget the steps, don't fall out of the double turn. And then I guess I kind of rewired once I got into auditions more regularly to kind of go, okay, they've kind of visualized you in their production with their costume, with their lights, with their whole thing. If you're standing there looking in the mirror trying to get it right, they're going to have a hard time kind of like picking you up and putting you on their stage. So yeah, me personally, I tried to do that. What were some of the things that worked for you when you guys were auditioning?
I agree with that. I mean, I absolutely want to see someone transport themselves, because that's what they're going to have to do. So, you know, definitely that's one big thing. I mean, as a dancer for me, I just, I think I was great with detail. I was like highly observant, and I was super hungry, and I tried to just keep my focus to myself is what I would do. I would not get distracted by all my friends auditioning at the same time. And I'd say to them, hey, I'll see you at the end. And I would actually just create my own space so I could get my own focus and get my head in the game. Because I see a lot of people miss the mark sometimes because they're just distracted by everybody being there. And it's, you know, it's quite social at the same time. And you want to be in the zone so you can actually take in all the details and really listen and really apply what they're asking you to do and take direction. And then being able to manage your nerves. I mean, that's the big challenge for auditions for everybody. You know, even if someone's starting out and someone who's had a massive career, it's just as nerve-wracking. You know, I've watched really famous people come into the room and audition and fall apart, and you think, God, they've had this whole career, and you know, everyone's the same. It's about being able to manage stress and anxiety in high-pressure situations, and that's part of being a horrible dancer. It really
100%,
is. You have to be able to know how to do that. And I think, from my perspective, everyone says, well, what do I do? And I said, well, you actually need to apply things like breathing exercises and meditation and actually nurture that whole kind of mindfulness and positive mentality to your career. And that's something that you need to practice as often and as hard as learning how to do, you know, 4 turns on the left. So you can't just expect to do some YouTube meditation in the morning of the audition and expect it to calm you down. Like, it's something that you need to practice. So that's another whole side of it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I always got told I came off unfriendly in auditions, but it's not because I was being unfriendly. It was that I was so focused.
Yeah.
And you can get caught up with, oh my God, I haven't seen you in ages. How
Yeah.
are you? Blah, blah. And if your eyes are on the prize, then you're going to be all over the
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
So I always would walk in and say hello, and then I would sit over in the corner and just get myself where I needed to be. Because then you're there. That's what you're there for. You're there to book the job. You're not there to say hi to everyone and all of
Exactly.
that stuff. So yeah, I agree. It is easy to get caught up because all your friends are all in the same place at the same time, and very rarely that happens. So yeah, it is just being super focused and eye on the prize, and remember why you're there is to book the job and not to
Catch
say
up.
hi. Say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to one of the first things I think we spoke about, which is taking critiques and taking corrections, it's crazy seeing, I feel like it's almost so obvious from the outside watching the person taking the audition. They'll literally give dancers, they'll test them, they'll give them something to fix or try it a certain way, or this time I want everyone to focus on this element, and they're literally giving them the answers. But so many dancers aren't focused enough to pick that up, and they're so focused on, oh, I got to get the steps right, and they're distracted, and they're literally so distracted that very few of them actually make those corrections, and then those ones are so obviously standing out, and it's an easy decision for a lot of choreographers.
Yeah.
Listen, they will give you the things they want you to do. They'll give you the answers.
They want you to be right.
They want you to be right,
Yeah.
like you said.
They want you to be right. They're not there to trip you up. They're not there to say, have a I got your moment.
Yeah,
They're saying, this is what I need from you.
Yeah.
Please give it to me.
yeah. We want to see you do it.
Yeah.
We need to book a
Especially when
show.
it comes to intention,
Yeah.
like intention of movement. Like, yeah, some people just don't really listen.
Yeah. Yes, that's
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
Do it the way they think feels right,
Yeah.
as opposed to the way that they're being asked to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, style's another big thing too.
Something that comes to mind too, and this is something that you would go, oh yeah, but diet.
Yeah.
Can I talk about that for a second? Because
Definitely.
I remember having a girl do a job, and she was my hero girl, and it was we were on a film set, and we started at 6:30 in the morning, and everything went wrong on the set that day technically, and the main dance scene that we were supposed to film with her didn't get shot until 2:00 the next morning. And I think she'd eaten, a cashew and an apple. And we got to the time of filming and she fainted. And that made me have to restage the entire thing.
Wow.
And then I only had 10 minutes to do it because they had to drag another person off to hair and makeup and refit a wardrobe. And this was a whole film crew standing around waiting and waiting and waiting, which was so much money. And then that girl became a risk, and then I never hired her again.
Yeah, because it's...
And that was actually just about her sensibility about eating and her body perspective. And,
Yeah, there's so many...
all of those things are really important.
Yeah.
And someone who takes responsibility for their body with an injury,
Yeah,
especially on shows, if you've got someone who's, just thinks they pulled a little muscle and it's just something, it'll go away, and then they don't deal with it, and then it turns into something big.
Yeah.
And instead of being off for one night, then they're off for 3 months. That's someone you don't hire again because they're not taking responsibility for their body.
yeah,
And our body is our business. So we have to be able to know how to sleep, eat,
maintain it.
and go and have massages. They're not luxuries.
Yeah.
Go
They're
and look
important.
after you, and hydrate. Absolutely, hydrate. Yeah.
Yeah, dancers can get into that world of just, all I'm focused on is dancing well, and it's all those other elements. And
Yeah.
I guess, people ask what a smart dancer is. I guess it's all those things, the ones
All
that
those
really
things.
think about,
Yeah.
themselves as a business, and what are other elements that I need to be doing? What do I need to do when I wake up? What do I need to do before? How much time do I need to make sure I'm, to be at least 15 minutes early? Doing all those things, putting the thought into every aspect of yourself as a HIREABLE performer.
Yeah.
It is a business, though. This is what we do for a living.
Yeah.
It's not a hobby.
No.
We're doing this to make a living. So, I think you get caught up when you're younger, like, oh, I'm doing it for the love and I love it and I don't care about this and that. It's like, no, at the end of the day, you want to be able to feed yourself, buy your house, buy your car, do all the things that you do when you're working. Yeah, and that's what this is what we do. It's a business. So I think people need to, up and comings need to be a little bit more smarter in knowing that that's what they're kind of trying to do, rather than just going, oh, I just love dancing. It's like, that's great, but it is also a business.
Yeah.
So you have to be smart in knowing that, and your body is your business because this is your instrument, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it's and sometimes making sacrifices to make that happen.
Yeah.
Like I know, and I'm sure, Matt, you would agree, like I've played roles on stage where I would, not speak all day to have 2.5 hours of full voice, and I would eat, this particular meal by 3 that I knew that it would break down to be my fuel so I could peak at 8 when the show started. And just, that whole sensibility of, my whole day revolves around this show, not just this 2.5 hours that I do it. And for me to be in my peak optimum health and potential to be fantastic at it. So, it's that kind of sacrifice and that kind of self-motivation. And I think that's what is hard when you leave full-time is you've just had it full-time and you've had everything delivered to you. You just turn up every day and everything is delivered and then you leave. And then you go, holy crap! You need to learn how to self-motivate to keep it going.
Yeah.
And I liken, I liken it to kind of kelp being attached to a seabed, and the seabed is full of nutrition, and that's the full-time course. And then one day at the end of it, you graduation and guillotine, and then the kelp's out in the ocean going, what the hell? Like, oh, what do I do now? What do I do?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you have to self-motivate, and you have to be able to make sure that you do have enough money to go to class. And if you don't, how are you going to then keep it up? And then, what people say to me, oh, I can't afford to do this when I leave full-time, and I can't afford, and you know what? I go, no. It doesn't cost you anything to dance in your lounge room.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you anything to sing in your shower. You and in this online world we're in, there's so many things that you can do. You can still be creative. You can still expand. And our lives in the industry is about self-motivation. And that's a really big thing that I think that we don't learn how to do.
Yeah, that's so true.
I think also when you're in a full-time course, I think the students get so caught up in being in this bubble and thinking that they're then going to travel through their career with that same group of people, and I always say, like, you won't probably see half these people again when you walk into an audition. It's not going to be like walking into a full-time day.
No.
So you really have to have the independence and motivation to know that once this bubble is popped and it's all warm and fuzzy and friendly in here, you're headed out into the real world where people are fighting for work.
Yeah.
So you're going to walk into an audition and it's not going to be all kumbaya.
Yeah.
People are there to book a job. And I think sometimes I think the students get caught up in being in this safe little bubble.
Yeah.
And it's just really important to know that that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And it goes back to focusing while you're training still on yourself. As soon as you're comparing yourself to others and, grabbing others for support for everything, it's going to be harder for you. If you're focusing on that person in the mirror and applying everything you're learning to how it's going to be when you're out there by yourself, it's going to be a little bit easier at least when it is the reality for you.
Yeah.
And I think going back to Kelley's point and that your day in a musical, playing roles, your day revolves around everything you need to do to be the best you can be. Because if you're not, then you're only as good as your last performance, and if you don't deliver, then people will remember and you won't then possibly book the next job. So if you're not at your peak and the best you can be doing that show or doing that role, people will notice and they won't. You might not get hired again, or you might. It's the same roles, ensemble, whatever. It's just all about you being the best you can be in that moment, so that it leads to other things as well.
Yes.
Or it can stop other things, just depending on how you go with it.
And it takes a particular kind of dancer to do the 8-show-week grind of a musical.
Yes.
And that's a mindset, and that's about, having a positive mindset, and it is for every gig, but, there's something about getting through the routine of that and still remaining buoyant and positive, and that's a skill set on its own, isn't it?
That's something I definitely struggled with, and at your heart you're so appreciative to be working and doing this amazing show, but everyone's going to have those days. It's like rewiring your brain to tell yourself those right things that you can be at 100%.
Yeah.
8 times a week.
8 shows a week is a
hard.
grind, and some people go into it and realize, oh, this isn't for me. I can't do the same thing 8 times a week for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people love it.
Yes.
And I think it does take a special breed of person
Yeah.
performer to be able to deliver 8 shows a week and have that show be as fresh as it needs to be for every different
Every time.
audience.
Yeah.
As if it's the first time you're doing it. So that is a skill as well in itself.
Yes. Yeah. I remember when I first booked Cats, there was someone on there that had done that show with that cast for 10 years. I
Yeah.
was like, wow.
Wow.
And I
Cat
was like,
seems to do that though.
yeah, there's a few. Yeah, but yeah, some people do. They thrive on it, and other people struggle. But
Yeah.
there's so many more things we could talk about, but I think we've given them a lot. I want to thank you guys again so much for jumping on with me today. It's
Thanks for having
such
us.
great value. It was so nice to
Thank you
chat
for having us.
and catch up as well.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Tell us what you think in the comments. Give us some ideas and thoughts on other guests you'd like to hear from and other topics. And we'll see you next time on Dance Talk. Thanks again.